Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of SaaS District. This is your friend Akil Jabbar, and today we have our guest with us, Praval Singh, joining us all the way from New Delhi, India, who is the VP of Marketing at Zoho.com. So thank you so much for joining us today on our show, Praval. For those of you who don't know who you are, could you give a little bit of background, a little introduction of who you are?
Thanks, Akil. Pleasure being here. Yeah, my name is Praval. I lead marketing for Zoho.com. We are a business software company spread across the world with over 50 million users. And my background is in marketing and prior to this, running your own business. And yeah, I've been at Zoho for 8 years and having fun here.
Awesome. When you say you're involved in different areas of marketing, you've been involved for several years. What would you say is your main area of expertise when it comes to marketing and demand generation?
Uh, I think I've sort of dabbled with different areas of marketing, all the way from brand, content, demand generation, field marketing, all of that. One thing that's close to my heart is messaging and positioning.
Okay.
That's for B2B SaaS products and companies. That's a topic that's close to my heart. And again, it's part of product marketing essentially, which is where I started. That's how I got into SaaS.
Hmm.
And that's one thing that's pretty close to my heart. Really enjoy having conversations on it, getting discussions about it, talking to startups about positioning their products and offerings. So yeah.
Okay. And if you speak to a lot of startups and helping them differentiate their messaging to stand apart, how do you make that suggestion to them through their positioning, better messaging, and to be able to stand apart from their competition? And
Uh, that's a good question. If you talk about positioning, that's where most SaaS products, when they come out, they get it wrong. Uh, and I think a lot of it goes back to how you approach that problem. Uh, to me, when it comes to that, the first thing I tend to ask myself when I'm looking at a product to take it to market is who is it for and why does it matter, right? As a product. I mean, for a second, keep the brand aside and all of that, right? It's important to understand who's going to use the product and why should they care about it. So once you start with that baseline, and you move on to something like, how would your customers describe your product, right? I mean, you throw something at them, and what would you like to see them say about the product, right? So getting
yes.
that articulation in your mind, and being very clear about it internally first amongst your stakeholders, and building that narrative, that story around that to be able to tell your audience, right? It's important to get that internally right first, all the way from your CEO to your sales team, right?
Yeah.
Do they all believe in that story? Do they all believe that this is what the product is for, and this is what your product is not? Or so having that differentiation very very clear is the starting point. I mean, a lot of companies and individuals start with writing a positioning statement, following that template that everybody has seen for
Yeah.
so many years. But I think we sometimes forget to start with asking the right questions. That may result in a better outcome sometimes. And I've been there myself. I've made those mistakes.
Hmm.
So I feel that's the right way, and that's a topic that is close to my heart, like I said.
So just getting really, very clear on who your audience and why they'll use it or how they'll use the product versus before actually just going out and building it. Um,
Yeah.
so I'd like to speak a little bit more about before you started at Zoho. I know you first started your digital marketing agency, Media Redefined, with two other partners you met with on Twitter, I believe. I'd like to hear about kind of what challenges you guys faced as an agency, kind of growing from when you guys started to building to where it was and when you exited. And then also on that one part of your partners, how did you know it was a good fit to partner together with two people that you just met online through Twitter? I'm curious on that story as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting story. And every time I think about it, those guys are still one of my best friends, right? But both of them are my great friends.
Yeah.
How it happened was, this was 2007 or 8. We were one of the earlier, I would say, early adopters of Twitter that back then. And it was picking up really well in India, I would say. So we were there. We used to like chat. We had never met up before. And then one fine day, two of us met, and then one thing led to the other. Uh, and then the other guy came into the equation, and we just became friends. And then again, it was not my idea, to be honest, right? I mean, one of them suggested that let's do something. And interestingly, both of them already knew each other and they had done something around web hosting in the past.
Okay.
So we started to sort of build on top of that and thought of offering a service which would be something as simple as building websites, to start with that. Mm-hmm. And then add other services on top of it, digital, social, content, all of that. So one thing led to the other. All of us were in our, I would say, mid-20s, and it was a fun ride. And we were just in it for fun, and we were enjoying it, doing some good work. And because we were so young, I think we had this ability to make mistakes and learn from them, and and we had our own share of fun that time. Yeah, so that's how it happened.
Could you share some key challenges that you encountered throughout, I think, the 3 or 4 years of the success and growth of building that agency, and then also how you landed some big clients such as Samsung, Maruti Suzuki, among others?
Yeah, back then, running an agency, at least in India, was very different from how it's run today. Okay. Things are a lot more mature, a lot more sophisticated now as compared to the way they were back then. And we primarily played into the social media domain, I would say, and web development as well. Mm-hmm. I think over the course of 3.5, 4 years when we ran the business, right, we saw a lot of change where the brands got excited about social media as part of their marketing strategy. But for the longest time, that continued to be run as a silo function, right? There would be a social media manager or there'll be a marketing manager wanting to do something on social media. And those days, these Facebook apps were pretty big. So like creating an app and then integrating that to your page and then getting those likes and followers and running a sweepstakes or a contest or giveaways, those were the days, early days of Facebook and all of that. So we kept doing that over and over for different clients. I mean, we did good work with one brand and then got some references, and the other one, we made some pitches. We were able to win some deals. So we got through that phase, and we were a fairly lean team. I mean, at the peak of it, we were 15 people, I would say. So we were not a huge, big company anyway. We were a small startup. Yeah. But I think we got some attention because of the fact that we were working with larger brands, and we were doing some good work that was sort of leading into getting us more work.
Right.
And but over the course of these 3.5, 4 years, we realized that social media continues to be an add-on, a silo activity. And we wanted to bring that into the equation more from what is now called as customer experience. This wasn't the word that time, but essentially to have social media integrated into the complete customer journey from sales and support, and how can you bring in product teams to take feedback, and all of those ideas. I don't think it really resonated with a lot of people back then, especially with our clients. We also did workshops with a lot of brands and agencies back then. But I think beyond a point, we just got bored of just doing the same services thing. And during that time, we also tried to pull off a social analytics product, which we worked on. And that's something I was very, very excited and passionate about. Unfortunately, we couldn't really go to market with that product. Though we had a working version, we were using that for our existing clients, but we could never really go out to the market with that. Typically, what you call the ramen profitability problem, right? You're trying to launch a product and make money out of it, but where the money is coming from is a services business. So exactly. Yeah, we had those challenges. And And that's how I think Zoho happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I see that a lot with a lot of agency owners who, they get kind of bored of doing the service work, repetitive work, and then somehow they spin off a product and they move to SaaS from there, and I think just keep running from it. You also said social media was hot at the time. It was easy to get people excited and start bringing them on as clients. I don't think it's as hot as it is today. What would you say is hot right now if you could compare it to what I know SEO had its time as well for a bit. Um, I know there's a lot of competition. There's a lot more sophistication. There's a lot
I
more.
think in the last couple of years, influencer marketing picked up really well.
Mm,
But then it sort of got towards, the gray area of like having your ethics right with influencers and, all of that.
yeah.
But I think influencer marketing picked up a lot in the last few years, more so on channels like Instagram and Snapchat and some of these. Uh, the other thing that I would say that wasn't as prevalent back then. I mean, of course, social media was there, SEO was there. Uh, these content partnerships and all weren't as, I would say, prevalent back then as they are now. We see a lot of. So think of it like this: like today, a B2B SaaS company wants to run their marketing as a almost as a media company, right? They want to
Yeah.
create these podcasts, these videos, these storytelling initiatives and all of that. I think that part of social media has changed a lot.
Mm,
And again, I'm saying social media because a lot of these things are being delivered on social media,
sure.
right? So this is a channel that you use to sort of engage with your audience. So back then, 2008, things were very, very different.
Mm. And what was the decision like at the time? Why you decided to exit from the agency and sell your shares in 2012, move on? And I think that's when you started at Zoho.
Yeah, like I said, we were honestly like tired of doing the same thing over and over again.
Okay.
Again, it was a partnership firm, so and not that we had raised money or we had anything of that sort, right? We were profitable from day one. Uh, we were all young and we were just having fun. And we continued to build some good relationship during that time and learned a lot in terms of how things work. And that also led to our understanding of what do we really want to do next in life, right?
Mm,
So my calling in particular was into SaaS products. I started sort of building a sense of affinity towards them,
hmm.
and the fact that we almost built one, made me more excited into getting into this domain. And so we moved on from there. Then I joined Zoho a few months later,
Mm,
and we were about to start building a social media product back then, and that was sort of that sounded like a perfect fit. I mean, I almost started where I left off from my own agency, and it was a fun ride. Yeah, so we built the product from scratch. Worked with a good engineering team on that. Set up the initial marketing for the product. Uh, Ran a bunch of campaigns, initiatives, all of that. Got on the all the popular third-party review sites and quadrants and all of that.
hmm.
And yeah, the product continues to do multi-billion dollars today in revenue.
Okay. I want to get a little deeper at that time of your life when you decided to join Zoho at that point. You've exited your business. You had a great track record in marketing for several businesses and entrepreneurship at the company. So rather than going out and building something new, yeah, why did you decide to join them at that time? What was enticing to that opportunity?
Uh, I think one of the things was definitely the fact that we built a product and we could not launch it, right? So that fear, that anxiety, that even though we were running a profitable business, the fact that we could not go live with the product, was playing on the back of our minds.
Mm,
And at that point, I mean, the other options that I had to sort of choose was to work at some other large agency or some other company and then do similar stuff that I had been doing. But then what I thought to myself was like, if that is what I had to do, I might as well do it at my own agency
Right.
rather than, joining a larger agency and doing the same thing. So it was clear that I wanted to sort of work on a product, essentially, if not build it, then be part of launching it, taking it to market, bringing customers, seeing some growth, all of that, and then learning along the way, of course.
Sure.
So that's what led to this, I would say. And of course, the opportunity was there at the right time. So.
So you started in I think, product marketing manager role, and 7 years later, you are now the VP of marketing and customer experience, which isn't an easy challenge in any corporation. Looking back at that time period, could you identify what you could say led you to your ongoing success of personal and career growth within Zoho internally? Was there something in particular?
I think I was fortunate to get the right opportunities one after the other. I remember when I joined as a product marketing manager for a product, that product was not ready to market, right? So it was still being built. So I was fortunate to be part of that process. And then that also gave me time to dabble with other projects within the company at that time. So, so while the product marketing role was vertical, I also had a horizontal role working on some of the other initiatives on marketing infrastructure within the company. And one opportunity led to the other. And then over a period of time, I sort of had a chance to dabble with different marketing initiatives within the company and got a chance to work with a different set of people within the company across geographies, across different cultures, different teams, different products. So, and again, I think when I joined, we had 14 or 15 odd products, right? I mean, we were definitely much smaller than we are now. And we're at 45 plus products today. So I was fortunate to be part of this journey of growth that we have seen in the last 8 years. And so that opportunities plus the experience of working with different teams and products just led to different phases of growth, both for the company and as an individual in terms of the projects that I got a chance to work on. So yeah, from there to here, these were just different projects at different points in time that I was fortunate to
was it your
sort of
curiosity that got you interested in different projects and different marketing initiatives across it? Or was it just like, hey, Praval, do this, and then you're like, okay, I guess I'll do it? Or was it just like, I'm kind of curious, let me play with this, hey guys, why don't we try this? And then it gave you some kind of attention that this guy knows what he's talking about.
I think an honest answer would be a mix of both, right?
Okay.
I mean, what happens is if you are curious towards doing a few things beyond your scope, right? People want to give you more work, right? And then that's how you demonstrate that you were able to do things beyond your comfort zone sometimes. So I've always been a curious kind. So I've always enjoyed dabbling with different things at different points in time, technology, marketing, all of that. And the other part of it is, of course, there were these pockets of opportunities that kept coming, and I was fortunate to be able to grab some of them. And then one after the other, they kept coming, and I tried to do some of them right and messed up some of them probably. But overall, I think we managed to pull off most of the projects that we got together with the teams that I work with.
Got it. So you've worked both in an agency setting, and then you've worked with several companies as your clients as an agency. How does the marketing strategy change or evolve as you work and lead through the large corporations that you work with versus like when you first joined SaaS business Zoho at the time?
I think during my agency experience, we were working with very big companies, and they operate very differently. Not just because they're so big, but also because the kind of products that they sell, right? So for example, with Samsung, we used to work with teams that were responsible for mobile and televisions and I think HVAC divisions. So those are like physical products, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which have a very different way to go to market, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and then you have things like brand ambassadors, and you have a sales channel, and there's a lot going on there to take those products to market.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the mobile companies operate through some channel partners and all of that. And marketing there was more, uh, a lot of marketing essentially was advertising, I would say, at least back then with these
Mm-hmm.
larger companies. And then outdoor, you would see these outdoor media and all of that being there. And social digital was just a bit of it, like it's an arm there. And back then, not many people in India were buying phones on Amazon or Flipkart or any of them.
Sure.
So it was a very different play altogether. The whole game was about being creative with your initiatives, your campaigns, your contest, your messaging. So that's how it was, right?
Mm.
When I switched to SaaS, this was a completely different ball game, right? We're talking about here demand generation. We're talking about product marketing. We're talking about events, field marketing. None of this is what we used to do back in the day. So that's how it was good learning for me individually, right? I mean, I picked
Mm.
up all of this on the job, had some really good mentorship early on, and that's how it was fun, and that's how it was not repetitive. So there's a strong contrast between the way we help with marketing for larger brands and how I was able to market products, B2B SaaS products at Zoho.
Mm.
Very different ways of achieving what you're trying to achieve. Again, this is a software. So you're essentially selling subscriptions,
Yeah.
offering a freemium model for people to come and try your products. And then how do you convert them? How do you upsell them? How do you cross sell them? All of that. It's a completely different play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So from my understanding, from Zoho, they were a completely bootstrapped company that's never taken external capital, with the main reason being that the founder and CEO, hopefully I pronounced this properly, Sridhar Vembu, he
Mm-hmm.
never wanted to feel pressure or even consider to exit. I think I read that somewhere. This is a different mentality than many early stage founders who dream of an exit to define their success. Um, what advice would you give to early startup founders around this thinking and, both that contrast of thinking? And do you have any suggestions around how they should approach it instead?
Okay. This question keeps coming up on and off with,
Okay.
when people talk to us at Zoho. Sridhar has had this, he's built this company with a mindset of being able to do work that we enjoy doing and then do it for as long as we can and without a goal for an exit, right? So we're trying to build something that we see growing in the long run, right? And the company essentially has been around for close to 25 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So Zoho as a brand came up much later, the SaaS brand, but the company has been around for 24, 25 years now. And it was always built for the long haul. And again, that's a mindset that defines many things, that defines who we are, that defines what really matters to us as a company, and that defines how we treat our customers. More so because when you don't have an external pressure, you sort of, your investor is your customer.
Yeah.
Right? So you're thriving on the money that you make selling your products, right? And not just that, we've always had this conscious approach to not serve ads within our products, including the free editions of our products. So what that means is we're not an advertising company. That also means that we don't need to track your data to sell it, track your behavior to sell it to advertising agencies or any third-party companies, because we don't make any money out of that, because that's not the business model. And the business model is very straight and upfront, which is we make software, we offer them on a 15-day free trial, which is the freemium model. And then when people try and use the software, they like it, they buy it. And with that, we make money. And with that, we do more investment into making more products or making our current products better. And this simple philosophy has sort of worked out for us. It may or may not work for somebody else. And somebody else may choose to do it differently, right? I mean, you could be a startup founder wanting to build something and exit in 5 years or 10 years, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's just a mindset. There's no right or wrong way about it, right? I mean, we don't think of it that way, that doing business that way is wrong. That's not the case. It's just that the company Zoho was formed with certain values and mindset. And it happened to be a bootstrap mindset, which may now in the hindsight appear cool. But the intent was not that. The intent was to do business, build a sustainable business, and we've talked about sustainability in business in many ways. It's not just one thing of not raising money, but in various ways of looking at sustainability, all the way from the way we hire people, the way we retain people, the way we look at our customers, or something as trivial as the way we look at expansion, global expansion in terms of our office real estates and things like that, right? So there's a lot being said and written about that, on the internet.
Interesting. So yeah, I can imagine you guys, a lot of your decision making when you're, whether it's investing in product, thinking about how to treat your customer, whatever it is, I think you can ignore the short-term gains and look at it as a long-term. I think that makes a big difference in how you approach it. So I think that's an interesting approach, I think. What is Zoho's strategy to position itself, to differentiate itself from the competitors? Let's say like, CRMs, you have, HubSpot, or others competitors, because I know Zoho has a big kind of ecosystem of within their suite. So then you have your social media, a tool such as, Buffer, Hootsuite. How do you differentiate all those pieces? Because I know you're pretty involved in that with the competitors.
So the answer to that question lies in the question itself. We are building a suite of products which we believe should coexist, right? And that's what we call Zoho One as the operating system for business, right? If you think about that line, the operating system for business, it stands for a thing or two, right? When you pick up an iPhone, for example, right? You buy an iPhone, you don't have to go and buy a browser or a mail client or a calendar app. You may choose to, but it all exists together and it works seamlessly with each other, right? So think of that phone example, or look at an example as a car. When you go and buy a car, you don't go and buy a separate steering wheel or a seat or a gearbox, right? Or an air conditioner. It's all part of the package. And then, of course, some people might want to upgrade, change, have some preferences to sort of include or add something to it. But so we look at software as a tool set or as an enabler to get work done for businesses. And now, given the way we are working today, the modern web worker, if I put it that way, anybody who's using the internet to get some work done, be it as simple as sending an email or hosting a website or using a CRM, we try to look at it in a very different way. For us, a CRM is not just a CRM. It's not just a record. It's not just a database of customer records. It's beyond that. So you have your data. What can you do with that, right? Is there a way where I can know or where I can attribute my ad spends with my customer revenue, with my churn, all the way from my sales, support, finance, across functions in a single dashboard, right? I mean, I know there are ways to do that. You can pick up 5 tools from 5 different vendors and duct tape them to, make it work. But we've all seen how it works. So, and I would say this was only possible because we were in it for the long haul, right? Which ties back to the previous question that you had, right? Because we are in the long run, we're able to produce solutions, create applications with under on a common stack as a framework. We own the entire software stack that we have, all the way from data centers to the application there. We own it all. We don't run our applications on other public cloud services.
Cool.
So the idea is to give that experience of a unified solution, which takes care of different business functions, removes silos, and then you have a CRM, let's say, that talks to your accounting software. You have an email delivery or email marketing software that talks to your marketing automation software. Like, this is all connected, right? So you can use, so when these two softwares or these softwares talk to each other, that's where you get to do interesting things, right? Be in terms of be it analytics or be it ability to perform an action or all of that. So, and I think that brings us, at a unique spot of being able to offer an experience which no one else can, all the way from sales, marketing, HR, finance, back office, all of that, productivity and collaboration suite, and all of that. So it gives you that experience of using software that is offers a unified experience. B, all of that comes at a very affordable price put together, right? I mean, buying each of these 45 different applications from 45 vendors, if you put together, is going to be a lot more than what you would pay for Zoho one license, right? So there is an upfront cost and value optimization for an end customer as well. So I think that puts us in a unique spot there when you talk about competitors in the market.
Makes sense. Yeah, you have basically an all-in-one ecosystem of platforms. You have everything you need within one system, one login, one. Instead of having Zapier to kind of, like you said, duct tape everything together, and then even that is missing information, and then you still have to go in and log in at some point, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I believe you helped build Zoho Social, the social media management tool, from scratch or very early on when you first joined Zoho in 2012. How is that experience different, with the corporation versus, building within your own team and making it from idea stage to product? So I know you have, because I guess, you were able to build your team. You probably had some resources more so than if you were to build it from scratch, right?
I think my first role at Zoho with the social team was more on the product marketing side, less on the engineering. But yeah, I was fortunate to work with some really good engineers who were part of the team. And early on, what the value that I could bring to the team was, a good market understanding, because that's where I was coming from, right? And the gaps that the current products had. So that's how I look at it. My early days at Zoho were about bringing what the market really lacks or has, and how can we make it better? How can we package it better? How can we come up with a solution? Something as simple as a lot of agencies using social media tools back then, right? So how can we bring something that is unique for agencies? That was a problem statement that we were discussing, like, can we do something unique where agencies can benefit from what we offer? And then it came on to, so what are the challenges that agencies face, right? And one typical use case was, and we faced it ourselves, was when you have an agency, you have 20 people working on 5 different accounts. How do you make sure that you don't make mistakes, in terms of cross-posting, or, how do you ensure there is a role assignment done for every brand that you handle or every client that you manage? So all these, they may sound very trivial or very tactical, but then when these come into product as a capability, that's sort of, and if I as an agency look at those capabilities, I'm like, oh my God, this is something that I really wanted.
Yeah.
Right. So that aha moment, what you call. So we were able to bring in some of that early on, I think, and and that experience was very, very different from my earlier experience of running an agency, because there, while we were doing interesting projects in a very fast-paced environment, we were not essentially building a product. We were not essentially, you know, building a subscription business, right? So
Right.
we would have a few large customers at a point in time, and we would service them. We would ideate with them. We would do projects for them, but that was pretty much it, right?
Mm.
Here, when you own the full funnel, the full cycle of a, you know, from putting the word out, bringing in the customers, you know, nurturing them, supporting them, you know, then meeting them at your user conferences, and you know, so it's a very, very different experience, I would say.
Sure. Do you remember what marketing strategies worked well for you guys to generate the success and traction with that specific product at the time?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did a lot of stuff. So early on, I think I would say our focus was on doing a lot of awareness initiatives, top of the funnel, you know,
Hmm.
stuff like social media content, all of that. And then slowly and slowly, we started venturing into, we did events, you know, trade shows and things like that. And then we graduated into more of PR and influencers, and you know, working with, as the product got matured, we were able to sort of you know, talk about our story, talk about the capabilities of the product with you know, media analysts and all of that. And then
Mm.
as the user base grew, we were able to sort of be on the map, you know, talk about the quadrants and all of that. So yeah, it was gradual, I would say. You know, of course, all of that was also you know, that involved SEO, PPC AdWords early on,
Hmm.
you know, and then building that social community, you know, over time, you know, as we got mature, as more people heard about us, they started using our product. There was this small little vibe around who we are, how are we trying to do things different for that product, that market. And then at some point in time, and we realized that when we are competing against established players, we need to have a strong sales enablement teams as well. So creating product specific content, or uh, infographics and decks, and you know, customer stories, testimonials, case studies, video, you know, testimonials. So that's how we graduated, I would say. We didn't really start doing everything in the first year. You know, we
Mm.
gradually, and then small things like editing or tweaking your onboarding emails, for example, right?
Mm. Hmm.
These were small things that led to considerable amount of change in adoption, change in onboarding, you know, change in conversions.
Makes
So
sense.
it was all good experimentation, I think, that we believed in, and we were fairly successful with, if not all, at least most of what we did early on.
Makes sense. So start on top of the funnel, trying to bring more awareness to your
Mhm.
product, then kind of focused on the middle of the funnel through events, you know, different pieces of content, and then really when your product started to develop, tweaking it to improve the onboarding, the experience, and I guess now it's a lot more focused on experience. I
Absolutely.
imagine.
And one other thing that, you know, that worked well for us was, and it continues to work for us, I would say. So when at Zoho we launch a new product, right, we don't have to start marketing it from scratch in some ways. I mean, in many
Right.
ways you have to do that. You have to
True.
establish what the product is for. But then when somebody sees a new product from Zoho, they have some sense of what to expect, in the sense like, what is Zoho? We don't have to answer that question, thankfully, now,
Mm-hmm.
as much as we had to do it, you know, in early days. So, and that also leads to, you know, you have your existing customers as sometimes your early adopters, because you know, they're already using a couple of Zoho products. They get exposed to your product sometimes early on. We do early access with sometimes existing customers. So you have this initial base of customers, oftentimes coming from your current Zoho customers, right? And then you
Mm.
have, and as customers discover that these products integrate well with each other, there are use cases where you could, for example, for social, one of some of our biggest integrations were integration with CRM, for example,
Okay.
right? Or integration with Facebook lead ads, right? So CRM integration immediately opened doors for all our CRM customers that needed a social media tool to look no further, right? Because
Makes
the
sense.
integration was native, it worked well, it solved for certain use cases, and it was at a great offer, a great value for money that we were providing. So that also played a huge role, and it continues to do that for any of the products that we launch.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense.
Mhm.
Hypothetically, if you were to build a completely new startup today, as a marketer, what industry and based on what you know now, what industry would you focus on, and how do you validate that product as quickly as possible and gain that traction?
Okay, that's a weird question. Yeah, I don't know. If I had to build something today, maybe that would be in the space of remote work. You know,
Okay.
uh, and with that I don't just mean remote working tools, but the whole philosophy and culture of working remotely,
Cool.
all the way from how it how it affects your mental health, uh, you know, to how conversations matter, real FaceTime matters, right? So along these lines, I've sort of been brewing some thoughts on more on like how we tell this narrative, how we talk about this, not on the product side, but I think as much as the remote work is getting hyped, right? There's another side to it, which is lack of human connect, face-to-face conversations, and a lot of people have realized that in the last couple of months of being holed up at their homes. Uh, I have worked remotely for the last 8 years, but again, working remotely doesn't mean working from home all the time, because with all the travel, the ability to meet your friends and colleagues around the world, uh, that was very different from being just at home. But what this has done is it has exposed a lot of people to be able to work remotely. And if I was to do something in this, I would probably think of this space, only because I've been doing it for a while. I've worked with distributed teams around the world. I've enjoyed it. And there's definitely some merit to that. But then I do value offline connections a lot. So maybe something around that. But then I don't really have a product idea up front. So if that's what
Sure.
you were expecting, I'm sorry.
No, no,
Yeah.
that's perfect. Actually, that's a very good point. Yeah, I've also been in the working remotely now for about 5 or 6 years now. Initially, super excited. You get to work from home in my underwear. Work at coffee shops, and then now I'm here at an office. Even though there's barely anybody here,
Mhm.
I need that interaction. I need a whether no matter where I am in the world, I'll find a co-working space or whatever. I just need to go and
Yeah.
interact with people.
Yeah.
I'll still work on my laptop and be quiet and do my work, but yeah,
Mhm.
nothing beats having some people. I think this is great over
Absolutely.
Zoom, but if we were doing this in person, I'm sure we'd enjoy it a lot more.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah. What's next for Zoho, and what are some exciting new products we can look forward to seeing launched in 2020?
Okay. There's a lot coming up. I mean, in fact, we just launched Zoho. We just launched Begin from Zoho CRM,
Okay.
which is it's a CRM built for small and micro businesses. It's a pipeline centric CRM, right? Which is built specifically keeping in mind the needs of small businesses. Which is sort of getting some good attention. We just launched it a week or two ago, and we have more stuff coming out in the next quarter or so.
Okay.
Uh, again, the larger premise is to make this suite of software that we have more powerful, offer more value for our customers, and continue to have fun while we build it. So that's the principle we sort of stick with, and we will continue to come up with new products that we think will solve problems that businesses have. And a lot of it just comes from our discussions with customers. When you have this and that and you don't have something else, and you eventually get to know that there is a void that customers have, and if we can create something to solve that, we try to do that.
Nice. I'm assuming the next product will be in something in the remote space. You're going to build a whole ecosystem there.
Oh, we already did that.
Yeah.
We just launched Zoho remotely, our remote working toolkit
Oh, cool.
in the first week of March. Yeah, it's a remote working toolkit with I think close to 11 applications. So everything from productivity and collaboration that you need at as a distributed team or to work from home is all there. And we launched it, and due to the impact that we were seeing because of the COVID situation, we made it free until the 1st of July for everybody who signs up. And yeah, and we had, I think, close to 20,000 companies already signing up in the first couple of months. Yeah.
Wow.
So we already did that. Yeah, because we believe we have the right tools, we have the right capabilities. It was just about packaging it together and solving it for this need. Yeah.
Awesome. And final question, where can our audience get in touch with you, learn more about what you're working on, or learn more about this product?
I'm usually active on Twitter. My account is Praval, @Praval, Praval. Yeah, so happy to get in touch, chat with folks. So, and yeah, have fun.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Praval. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Akil. Thanks for having me. Good luck.
Bye-bye. Thank you all for listening in to today's episode. Don't forget to join us for another episode where we interview top leaders and experts in the business and SaaS industry. If you enjoyed this episode, I ask that you please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. That would be really, really appreciated. Otherwise, if you have any feedback, suggestions, or improvements for this podcast, please feel free to send it directly to me on our website at horizoncapital.com. Or you can just tweet me at Akil Jabbar. Thanks again, and hope to see you guys on the next episode.